Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today is a very exciting day because today is going to be the second video out of my Biggest Loser question and answer series. I did do another video a couple of months ago answering quite a few of your questions on there. It's like 30 minutes long. If you haven't seen it yet, I'll definitely link it down below. But today is going to be the second version of that, and I'm just gonna answer some more questions. I did ask you guys last night to send me some questions over that you might have. I also have some questions from before that you guys had asked, so I'm just gonna be kind of going down the list and answering things here and there. I do have quite a few questions lined up for you guys today. You guys asked me so many different ones over the past couple of months about this, so I'm very excited to answer them for you. They're just gonna be random. There's not like a set theme in this video or anything like that. They're just Biggest Loser related questions. Some things will be about food, some things will be about the mental aspect, some things will be about the exercise, trainers. There's so many different questions. So if you guys do think of any other questions during this video or after this video that you'd like to ask me, that you'd like me to answer in the next video, just leave the comment down below and I'm happy to add it to the list of things to tell you guys. And just for anybody that might not know, I was on season 11 of The Biggest Loser. It was in 2011 and I was on the show with my mom, and I actually lost 100 pounds before I was on the show, 112 pounds actually, before I was on the show on my own, and then I lost another 110 pounds on the show. So I lost over 200 pounds in about a 16-month span, which was crazy. You know, my body went through a lot during those 16 months and especially afterwards. But I just wanted you guys to know, I just wanted to like preface this with that so you know kind of my history and the season I was on and those kind of things. So let's just get started. Okay, the first question, you guys, by far, is probably the #2 question I get. The first one I already answered, and that is Jillian mean? And that's in the last video. But this question is, how many calories a day did you eat? Was it based on calories or clean eating? I just have to tell you guys, I've really struggled to figure out the right way to put this on camera, you know? Like, I'm just being straight up with you. Because there are so many different ways to answer this question. Like, I had the amount of calories that I ate, but I also had the amount of calories that I was told to eat. So what I was told to eat was around 1,600 calories. I believe it was 1,589. And that was directly from the doctor. He gave me a little card and he said, you need to eat this amount of calories if you're working out this much. And I said, awesome. So the first week I did that. And honestly, it was right around what I was eating anyways at home while I was losing weight on my own. I was eating around 1,600, 1,700 calories at home, and I felt really good on that because I was just being, you know, I was doing things in moderation. I never had cut anything out. I was just doing what I knew I needed to do. So my calorie count that was given to me by the doctor was 1,600 calories, which I think would have been very good. After about a week, many of us were given the direction to eat a little bit less, and we actually, I can't really speak for anybody else, but I will speak for myself. I ended up eating 800 calories a day, which was truly way too little, 100% way too little, and if I could go back and do it again, I would do it differently, because what happened was, after a while, my body kind of went into starvation mode. And if you guys did watch season 11 of The Biggest Loser, you saw that my weight loss steadily started decreasing every week, but my intensity in my workouts and just my overall demeanor was going up and up and up. Like, I was honestly feeling so good. I was working out so much and I was going harder than I had ever gone, but I just wasn't fueling my body the way that it needed to be fueled. And it said, you're out, Courtney, like, you made the wrong decision. So my body did crash. It really did. And even on my hardest working week ever, which was my last week there, I only lost 1 pound when I honestly probably should have lost 10. And I wouldn't say to ever lose 10 pounds in a week, but the way that we were working out, and especially the way I was working out that week, I thought for sure I had lost 10 pounds. I felt good. I knew I had lost inches, but I had only lost 1 pound. So that was super disheartening. So I guess my main thing to answer this question is, 1, listen to your doctor. Talk to your doctor about what your needs might be for your body, your activity level, and maybe maybe whatever is going on inside of your body. Like, everybody has different things, you know. If, let's just say you have PCOS or you have some type of autoimmune disorder or something like that, what you have to eat is going to be completely different than what somebody next to you has to eat. And so I highly, highly, highly recommend talking to a nutritionist and a doctor about what your body needs. And don't be scared about going to a doctor. They want to help you. Like, this is about helping you. If you don't agree with what they're saying, or you feel like that's not something you can do, talk to somebody else and figure out who your support system can be in that. And I also wanted to say that I did see in the question that it was about clean eating. No matter what we had at the ranch, it was pretty much all clean eating, except on high calorie day when they brought in some other things. But for the most part, it was all clean eating. It was all organic. Jillian was very gung-ho about having organic selections for us in pretty much everything, even dairy, you know, the meat, the dairy, everything was all organic. So that was awesome. So it was definitely clean and pretty low calories, but I needed to be a lot higher. I needed to listen to the doctor, and I didn't. Okay, the next question is, how often did you eat at the ranch, and what exactly did you eat? That is a good question. So basically, we would wake up in the morning and we would do some type of fasted cardio. I would always choose to do like an hour or two of just walking around the Presidential Mile that was at the ranch, which was really awesome. So we would do that, and then immediately after that, we would go eat breakfast. So usually it would be like egg whites with some vegetables and maybe some like turkey sausage, or I really like to have Greek yogurt, and I would add a little bit of Truvia to it and some berries and maybe some turkey bacon. You know, it wasn't too much. It was usually between about 200 and 300 calories for breakfast. And then right after that, we would usually go into a workout with a trainer. Even if it was a dark day, which is a non-filming day, even if it was a dark day, we usually had either Bob or Jillian there, or Brett, who was my trainer for a while, or they had hired a trainer to come in and train us during the day. So one way or the other, we usually had a trainer there, and we would either go up to like Inspiration Point and hike up there. If Jillian and Bob were there, we'd always do it in the gym, and it would be cool. If it was a dark day, we'd go off the ranch. Like, I think I talked about this in the last video, but we go off the ranch to like a spin class and anything else. Like, we did a lot of different things. And then after that workout, which would usually be an hour to sometimes 3 hours, we'd go in, we'd eat lunch. I remember I always loved having hummus and these little Gigi crisp crackers. They are like fiber crackers basically. I'll link them down below for you guys. You can get them on Amazon, but all of us ate all of them all of the time. Like, we just love them. And I would put like no salt turkey on it, and I would eat that, or I'd have like guacamole. So basically it would be the cracker and then hummus with the turkey, or it would be the cracker, guacamole, and the turkey. And then it would be like some type of like little orange or a piece of string cheese or something like that. So it was never too much food at once, which I probably should have loaded up in the morning with a little bit more fuel, and then at night, you know, eat less. That was usually lunch. Like, I was pretty set in my ways. I didn't switch it up that much, which, you know, now I'm like, I can't eat the same thing twice. I get too bored. But yeah, so that was lunch, and then we'd go do some more working out, either with a trainer, or we would just do like a lot of slow and steady cardio. We would just walk, and then after that, we would go inside and make our dinner. My main dinner that I had all of the time was a 4 to 5 ounce turkey burger. We just used Jennie-O lean ground turkey, and then I would like caramelize some onions, and it was so good. Like, I'd always put that on top of it. I'd use a little bit of the organic ketchup that they had in there, and then I would do some type of green on the side, whether it was Brussels sprouts or asparagus or zucchini. I'd always add that to the side. So that was typically my dinner. Like, I wouldn't go too off of that, but we did have some cookbooks there we could have used. Some of the things were a little carb heavy, and we all were pretty, honestly, just like naturally pretty low carb there because it was all real food. It wasn't processed, you know? So yeah, that's kind of what I had for each meal. And then at the end of the night, if I needed a couple more calories in there, I would add in some no salted cashews or almonds or something. We had like bags from Whole Foods, and everybody would eat like 5 or 6 cashews or almonds to get to that calorie count. So yeah, it was pretty, I was pretty set in my ways, and so was everybody else, it seemed. You know, nobody went too crazy except on high calorie days. Okay, the next question is, let's see. Was non-health food stocked in the house? How did Rulon get the chips? Okay, so if you watched my season, then you knew that Rulon Gardner, who was an Olympic gold medalist, he was on our season, and he ate some chips in his room. Like they showed it on the show, like he snuck chips up to his room, or like he snuck them in somehow. But we actually did have chips in the house. There were non-health foods in the house, but like those chips that he was eating, I believe, I don't know for sure what chips they were, but I think they were like the no salt tortilla chips. They were like blue corn tortilla chips that Jillian had in the house for us, but most of us didn't eat them because we just knew that that would not be on our plan. But she did have them stocked in the house for anybody that, you know, might want them on a high calorie day or something. But I guess Rulon just took it to his room and he just ended up eating it like the whole time. I can't really speak on that because I don't really know exactly what was going on with all of that, but I do know that we did have that stuff in the house. We also had like pop chips in the house, and we would sometimes eat those on high calorie day, and sometimes people would eat them not on high calorie day. A lot of the guys, they didn't really care. Like they just ate and they didn't care, and that was all good, but a lot of us girls really watched it. So yeah, but those things were stocked. They weren't really there for everyday eating, but they were there for any time that somebody wanted a little treat or something. So it was stocked in the house, but it was not an everyday thing. Okay, the next question. Do they give you fat burners or pills to help you lose weight faster? So this has kind of been a bit of a controversy over the last couple of months because it came out that people were given fat burners and, you know, all these illegal drugs or whatever. Here's the bottom line for my season. We weren't given fat burners. I'm not saying that they weren't going around. I don't know that for sure, but for me personally, I can only speak for myself, I didn't take any fat burners. And the reason I didn't is because I knew that we weren't allowed to. Like as per our contract, we were not allowed to take things like that to further ourselves in the competition, because at the end of the day, that was a competition. It wasn't really a realistic thing. It was a competition, you know? And so I'm not saying people didn't. I actually kind of believe that some people did, but I don't know who did. I don't know who didn't. They were not readily available for us. That is what I know. So no, we were not given fat burners. We were not, like, that was not part of the whole Biggest Loser experience. But, you know, people, I'm sure that people could have gotten them in some way, because just so you guys know, the ranch is not a private park, it's a public park. Anybody can actually go into the ranch that we lived at. We weren't really allowed to talk to people, but people were allowed to come onto the campus. So you know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like out of the realm of possibility, but did the trainers give it, or were people bringing, like, I don't know, like that didn't happen on our season, but could it have happened on other seasons? Maybe. I can't speak for that. I will say though, we had plenty of vitamins. We had vitamin D, we had sodium bicarb because we were losing so much sweat and, you know, salt in our systems. They wanted us to supplement with that, which I have to tell you guys, I hate bicarb. Like anybody that's on season 11 that's watching this, you guys know, I would gag trying to drink it. I absolutely hated it, but we did have that. You just kind of shot it in water. I hated it though. We had multivitamins every day. We had like a whole cabinet of vitamins and such, but none of it was any type of fat burner on my season. I have heard things about other seasons though, so that's, you know, I don't know, but I'm just telling you for season 11, for me and my mom, I can speak for my mom, we did not take fat burners. Okay, the next question is, do you feel pressure from the show, from people that have watched it? Do you think that there are a lot of misconceptions about Biggest Loser contestants and Biggest Loser itself? Wow, that is a loaded question. There's a lot there. Okay, so the first question is pressure from the show. Do I feel pressure from the show? I don't really feel pressure from the show anymore. Okay, let me just say this. It's not the show that causes pressure. It's one, myself, but two, other people that literally just don't understand that we are real people. Like we are hands down just real people. We were plucked from the real world to be put onto this television show, and then we go back into the real world. It's not like we're these actors and actresses that just don't really care what you have to say. Like we are real people that literally were just trying to change our lives, and most of us did, and most of us still have to fight for it really, really hard today, even harder today than we did then. But people just feel like they can say anything to us like we're not real people, or like, you know, like they're just like projecting their issues onto us. And it's like, it's sad sometimes. Like, okay, for example, one time I went to the grocery store, and this was a couple of years ago, and my mom was having a party, okay? And so she had me go grocery shopping for her. So I'm there, I have tons of stuff in my cart, like so many different things. And there were like bags of chips, there were desserts, there were tons of vegetables, like there was a lot of different things. We had a lot of people coming over, and a lady came up to me and she's like, Courtney, why would you have all of that in your cart? I can't believe you're gonna eat all of that. You're gonna go back to the exact way that you were before the show. And I just looked at her, and I kind of still feel bad about this, but I just looked at her and I walked away because I didn't know how to be nice to that. Like, I didn't feel like I needed to defend myself and be like, well, this isn't for me, it's for a party, you know? I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, just the way she said it, like I feel things really intensely, so like I know if somebody's being rude, you know, like I know. And she was blatantly just being rude, like thinking she could say whatever she wanted. And I think that, you know, I'm hoping that she was maybe thinking she was trying to help, but honestly, like, I was like, I wanted to be like, really, the way that you said that was extremely rude. But I just walked away, and I've never seen her again since. I have no idea who she was, never heard from her on social media or anything like that. I just thought it was like really weird. But it's like those kind of things. It's like, did you really think I was gonna eat 10 bags of chips? Did you really think that? Because I wasn't, you know? And it's like, I don't know, those kind of things bug me. Another example, I was also at the grocery store. I was shopping for Yo Amazing. I was at Costco actually, and I think I posted this on social media, but we buy a lot of our fruit for Yo Amazing from Costco. We do fresh fruit, we cut it up, and then we put it on the topping bar. So I had like tons of different things. Like, I had so many strawberries, blueberries, kiwi, raspberries. It was all fruit, and it was like loaded up. And a lady from across the store, she yells, "Good, that's all you should be eating is fruits and vegetables." And I like looked, I turned around, and like we weren't close enough to even have a conversation because she yelled it across the store. And I was like, she's not talking to me, right? And I looked, and she's staring right at me with her kid. And honestly, like, I was just like, really? And let me just say this, like, she wasn't a super small person, and I don't even look at people like that. Like, I don't look at somebody and be like, well, that person's small, that person's not. Like, I don't do that. Like, that's not the way my brain works. And you can ask any of my friends and family, they're like, you don't look at that, do you? And I'm like, I really don't. But this lady, like, I just felt like it was crazy that she felt like she could say that to me. I don't care what your size is or where you come from or anything, like, but just don't say that. Like, that's just rude, you know? And it wasn't in a nice way. I have had people come up to me before at a grocery store and say, what's in your cart? Like, I need some ideas. And I have no problem helping with that. Or, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that, but it's literally just when people think they can say and do anything that they want, and then think that it's not gonna affect me or any of my friends, you know, like, that have gone through the same thing. So that's just kind of crazy. And then let me look at the other question again. Okay, then the second part of the question is, what do you think is the biggest misconception about Biggest Loser contestants and Biggest Loser itself? And I think for me, a misconception is just that, you know, we're not experts. Like, I think when people think when we get off the show, we're just like these experts in everything, in health related everything. And like, that's just not true, because for me, like, I'm not a trainer, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a doctor, but I have tried to learn what works for my body and what doesn't. Do I always apply those things? Not always. Sometimes I know what I'm supposed to do and I don't do it. And I think that that's just like part of life, and it sucks, like, it makes you feel bad, but that's just the truth. But I'm not an expert, and I think sometimes people really do think we're experts, and all I know is that I'm an expert in trying to figure out what works best for me. I am not an expert for everybody else. I'm not even an expert for me, but I'm trying to get to that point, you know? I'm trying to figure out what works best for me in every area. Another misconception, and I think that a lot of people, not just Biggest Loser contestants, not just Biggest Loser fans, but just literally the world in general, people think that if you're trying to lose weight, that it has to be all or nothing. And especially with Biggest Loser, because it is kind of all or nothing, you know? Like, we go on the show and it is all or nothing, and what everybody sees is all or nothing. But truly, that is not what life is about. Life is not all or nothing. You have to find that balance. And I truly believe that it's all about balance. And I don't know that the show shows balance. I don't think that when you're watching it, you see balance, you see an extreme. So I feel like that is something that I need to say, is that it is not all or nothing. Like, weight loss is not that. You have got to find balance. You've got to have freedom. You've got to have self-love, because if you don't have those things, then you're not going to continue to propel forward. And if one of those little things is off, it probably will throw you off, you know? So that's the kind of things I deal with all the time, because I'm not always right on track. I'm just not, you know? And so then I have to figure out, okay, what part of my wheel do I need to get back in check, you know? So just know that it's not all or nothing, even though that is kind of what you see on the show. That is not what I believe Biggest Loser stands for, or what I stand for, or what many of my Biggest Loser friends and family stand for. And the last misconception that I really feel like I need to talk about is the fact that people think that if a Biggest Loser contestant gains weight, that they're automatically a failure. And all I'm gonna say to that is that you literally have no clue what any of us has gone through in any area of our lives. You have no idea what somebody next to you might be going through. And before you pass your judgment, just take a second to ask yourself, one, why am I passing the judgment? And two, what can I do to maybe help them get through whatever they might be going through? Not because of the way that we look or whatever, but you just literally never know what somebody's going through. So please, before you pass judgment, please don't just assume that we are failing at everything in life because we've gained a little bit of weight back. Okay, the next question. Do you think the Biggest Loser lifestyle at the ranch is realistic for life now with work, family, and more to tend to? That's an easy answer. No, it's not realistic. You can't, I don't know anybody that has time to work out 8 to 10 hours a day at home. Like, that's just not realistic at all. I don't know that the show is trying to make it seem like it is realistic. Like, I never got that from the show. Like, when I would watch the show, I knew I wasn't gonna be working 8 hours a day or losing 10 pounds a week. Like, I kind of knew that, but I do realize that people don't always understand that, and I do realize it's not specifically said on the show. But no, I don't think it's realistic. I think that you do have to really work very hard to find a balance in your life, especially after the show, because when we're on the show, like, you're thinking one way. Like, that's just the only way that it can be done. And I mean, I'm really lucky because I did lose weight on my own before I was on the show. I had started making life changes, you know, so I was kind of able to implement that a little bit back into my life when I got home. But the problem was my mind had kind of shifted to a point that I really never wanted to get to, which was the other extreme, because I lived my life in an extreme for so very long, you know, of eating basically anything I wanted, getting to, you know, 450 pounds. And then I found the balance before I was on the show, and then on the show I still had the balance, and then kind of afterwards I just got skewed because of so many things that were said and done and just the way that my mind was working. So I had to really shift it back to living in a balance. And I do believe that the only way to live your life is in balance, and that is with everything, not just weight, you know, not just health, but everything in life. If you have a balance, life is probably gonna be a little bit better and a little bit easier, and it's gonna be more copable, you know? So no, I do not think what we did there is what people should do in everyday life. I don't think you should eat super low calories. I don't think you should work out 10 hours a day. I think most people understand that, but I'm just telling you, no, that is not the way that you need to live or should live. Okay, the next question. Did you get paid to be on the show? So we did have a daily stipend, and that was, I think it was $100 a day. So basically it was $700 a week, which is pretty much the standard reality show stipend, I believe. I'm not really sure if I'm supposed to be saying that, but I'm not really in contract anymore, so I guess I can. But yeah, so we did get paid that daily. You know, for somebody that had a career, and like my mom, for example, like her making that, she was making much less than she was making being at work. For somebody like me who was 22 years old, who was, you know, making not very much money and not working, you know, not working a full-time job, I was going to college, that was really good. Like, it was really nice to be able to just kind of put that into savings and such. And I actually was able to use some of that to start businesses and stuff like that. So that was nice, but it wasn't like you were getting like all of this money, you know, because once you left the show, like if you were only on the show for a week, you only got paid for that week. You didn't get paid after that. So if you had already quit your job and you were gone for, let's just say, a month, and you went back and they wouldn't take you back, you would have to find another job, which I mean, that sucks. Like, I just can't imagine that, but I do know that happened to a lot of people. But we were paid for our time for being on camera and stuff like that. Okay, the next question. Do you get free or discounted BL Ranch discounts if needed? So I think they're just asking, do you get discounted Biggest Loser Ranch visits? Okay, here's the thing. I don't know if you mean Biggest Loser Ranch or Biggest Loser Resort. The Biggest Loser Ranch is a public place. It is called the King Gillette Ranch. It's in Calabasas, California. Anybody can go onto the ranch and you can walk around. You won't be able to go into the gyms and stuff, like the gym or the house or anything like that. You can't go into the buildings, but you can definitely walk the Presidential Mile. You can go up to Inspiration Point. Like, that is an open area. But to go to the Biggest Loser Ranch, like that, you can't really even pay to do that. Like, if I was gonna go back, like, you can't just pay to do that. You know what I'm saying? The only way that you do that is if you're on the show, and then you can go into the gym and stuff. That's the only way. So that, I think, I'm assuming you're asking about the resorts. And with the resort, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I don't even know what Biggest Loser resorts are still open. I know they've kind of all changed. I think the Chicago one just closed, which is pretty close to me, but I don't even know which ones are actually still called Biggest Loser resorts. So we don't get to go for free. Would we get a discount? Maybe. I've never really looked into it. I did go to the resort right when I was off the show, like a couple of months after I was off the show, and we did get a discount that way. And I think it was me, my mom, there were a couple of us Biggest Losers there, and we were doing an event there, so that's why we were able to do that. But yeah, other than that, like, it's not like that. I'm sure if we asked or we had the right resources, we could definitely get a discount on it. But other than that, it's not like, oh, well, I'm gonna take a trip next week to the Biggest Loser resort and I can go for free. Like, it's not like that. I kind of wish it was. That would be nice, huh? But no, it's not like that. Maybe they should implement something like that. That could be like a nice, like, aftercare program. If you're listening, BL, I'm just saying, we might need something like that. Okay, the last question I'm gonna answer today, because I feel like this is getting a little bit windy, is when you get eliminated from the show, do you leave immediately? That's a great question. So basically, on elimination night, you have to leave the gym immediately, yes. I went directly to a pass van, which is like those big white vans. I was with a producer, and I just sat there with them. I had to wait for a little while to go into my exit interview. So I had to go onto camera right after that happened. I didn't really get to talk to anybody. Just got to hug everyone and say bye. When I was actually eliminated, I watched everybody walk back inside, and I wasn't allowed to, like, say bye or, like, you know, yell bye or anything. Like, it really sucked. Like, that sucked. So then you do your exit interview, and then you go to a hotel that night. So I got my phone back, my computer back, I got everything back, and I was kind of like in shock, you know? But I got to go to a hotel, and then my flight was the next morning. So at the hotel, I had a producer there who was there with me, just like staying in another room to make sure I was all good. And then they took me to the airport the next morning, and I flew right home the next morning. And because everybody else on the show, like, none of them had their phones or anything, so it's not like I could just call them and talk to them. So that was, like, probably the hardest part about being eliminated, is I wasn't able to talk to my friends who I had just spent 6 months with, you know? So that was hard. But yeah, you basically go home right then, you know? You can't talk to anybody, you can't really do anything. I got my phone, and I literally just didn't even know what to do with it. I didn't know who to call, what to do. Like, of course I called my family, but other than that, I was like, how do I even text? Like, what is this, you know? So that was crazy. But you immediately get eliminated, and you kind of just get cut off from that Biggest Loser world for a little while. Okay guys, so that's gonna be it for this Biggest Loser question and answer. This is part 2. I'm hoping to do a part 3, 4, 5, whatever you guys want. Just keep asking your questions down below in the comments. Seriously, hit me with all the questions you have, and I will try to go through all of them and get to all of them in some of these videos. I just keep adding them to my phone and going down the line. So definitely ask your questions. If you have any follow-up questions from the things that I answered in this video, let me know. Also, let me know if you'd like me to make a video about kind of just like food and, like, you know, food addictions and eating disorders and things like that, because, you know, it's kind of been on my heart to talk about it, but I don't ever want to trigger anybody or make somebody feel like, well, you know, maybe that's what I have. Like, I don't know. I just don't want it to be a negative thing, but I do think that it's a very important topic, you know? So let me know what you think. Leave everything down below. Like this video if you liked it. Even if you have no questions, just leave me a little comment saying, hey. I would love to connect with you guys in any way that I can, especially YouTube. You guys know I love you so much. So thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you in my next video.